What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to this edition of Sharp Shorts. Let's get right to it. This past Saturday, two brothers were shot to death by the boyfriend of their sister. The brothers' names were Gianni and Jaheim Pierre, as you guys can see on the screen, and the alleged shooter's name is Antoine Carter, who was Gianni and Jaheim's sister's boyfriend. So the TLDR version of what happened is that the two brothers, Gianni and Jaheim, went to their sister's apartment in Liberty City, Florida, to check up on her because they knew that her boyfriend Antoine had a history of domestic violence. Now, there are several news outlets who have reported that when her brothers arrived at her apartment, that they started fighting with Antoine. But later reports revealed that one of the brothers got into an argument with the sister, and that's when Antoine jumped in and the fight broke out. Now, during that initial confrontation, the sister was said to have left the apartment to go to a neighbor's house to call 911, which is a little confusing to me because everybody has a cell phone these days. At any rate, back at the original fight, Carter somehow managed to get away from the two brothers. Then surveillance cameras saw him go down to his vehicle and grab an unidentified object, which we all know now to be the projectile weapon to keep it clean for YouTube, returned to the apartment and banged on the door screaming, "Come out and fight me. I'll bet you won't open this door," something to that effect. Unfortunately, one of the brothers opened the door, at which point Carter shot him several times at close range, then entered the apartment and shot the other brother. When the cops arrived on the scene, Antoine Carter was standing outside of the apartment building and straight up told the cops, "I am the one." The police found a gun in his pocket and then took him immediately into custody. So one of the brothers died at the scene while the other brother died at the hospital. Now, there are several things about this absolute travesty that has jumped out to me, but before I get to that, let's take a look at the news report. Take a look.
A man is in custody after police say he shot and killed his girlfriend's two brothers. This happened after an argument escalated into a shooting. CBS News Miami's Maribel Rodriguez is your reporter in Miami with what neighbors are saying about this.
Woke from dead sleep. 5 gunshots. Pow, 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 pow. And then the door slammed underneath my balcony.
That's what Gina Kirk said she heard Saturday morning coming from a neighbor's apartment at 5329 Northwest 17th Avenue.
Good morning, Mr. Carter.
According to police, it was this man, 31-year-old Antoine Carter, who fired the shots. When officials arrived to this building in Miami, they found two men in their 20s shot multiple times inside one of the apartments. One of them was dead. The other died at the hospital.
There's probable cause for the charges. It looks like he shot and killed a girlfriend's two brothers.
Police say Carter's girlfriend's brothers went to check up on her, and when they arrived, got into a fight with Carter. According to investigators, they found Carter outside the building, who told them, quote, "I am the one," and the gun was found in his pocket. Carter was taken into custody and appeared in bond court on Monday.
I'm going to grant the state's motion for pretrial detention pending final hearing and hold you with no bond.
And Carter is being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and according to police, he does have a history of domestic violence.
Of course he
does. Miami, Maribel Rodriguez, CBS News, Miami.
Okay, so the first thing that immediately grabbed my attention was something that we have talked about in this corner of the internet for years, and that is that modern women absolutely suck at mate selection. The girl power programming and all of the conditioning that modern women get from television, social media, movies, and so forth, it has rendered them unable to select and then consolidate on men who are actually good for them. But history shows us that this has always been the case. The only difference is that back then, they actually did something about it with the advent of arranged marriages. Cultures were keenly aware that women could not be trusted to make good decisions when it came to who to marry and have children with, so their families and their friends did it for them. Well, fast forward to 2026, and modern women are proving day after day why arranged marriages were instituted in the first place. Modern women, and here's the thing, modern women are great at picking fathers, but they suck at picking husbands, if you guys get my meaning. This is why we have a bunch of single moms running around. Well, this woman was no different. She was in a 4-year relationship with a man who was physically abusive, who ended up ending the lives of her two brothers. So this woman's judgment not only cost her brothers their lives, it may very well have been the end of the Pierre family bloodline. One woman's decision has completely changed the legacy of an entire family. That is how consequential picking the wrong man can be. The second thing that grabbed my attention was that when her brothers came over to check up on her and protect her, instead of allowing them to do so, even though she called them, she actually got into an argument with one of her brothers. And this is the detail that's not being talked about as much as it should be. Anytime a woman is in an abusive relationship, our natural instincts as people is to get in there and get her out of there. But what a lot of us don't realize is that a lot of these women not only want to stay with these guys, they actually defend them. And guys, we see and we hear about this stuff all the time, right? A woman will show up with a black eye or marks around her neck or bruises on her arm. Her family and friends will tell her she's got to leave, but she stays with him anyway. Then when people try to intervene on her behalf, she ends up defending him. And then, of course, bad things happen after that. This is why we all need to understand that women in these kinds of relationships have got to be ready, willing, and able to leave. Because if they're not, and you try to pull them out, bad things can happen. And that's exactly what happened in this case. The brothers show up to try to defend and protect her. She defends the boyfriend by getting into an argument with one of the brothers. The boyfriend jumps in, things escalate. She leaves the apartment, and when she comes back, one of her brothers is dead and the other one is close to death. And reports are that she actually had a restraining order on the boyfriend. Yet, he was still at her apartment, meaning she was not ready to leave the guy yet. That's why she reacted adversely when her brothers got there, even though she was the one that called them. So the lesson here is that if someone you know, I guess this sounds like a PSA, if someone you know, but if someone you know is in an abusive relationship, you are going to have to fight the instinct to intervene, because a lot of times the person in that relationship does not want you to intervene, even when they tell you that they do. And I know it is very difficult to stand by and let these things happen to people you care about, especially if it's a family member. But if she's not ready to break free from that relationship, then there is nothing you can do to help her. She has got to make the decision to want to leave, and then she's got to show you she wants to leave. That's when you ultimately step in. And even then, that's risky because you still have no idea where the guy is or what he's capable of. The last thing I want to point out is something that I have discussed on my channel for years. Anyone who has followed me for the last, I would say, 1.5 to 2 years has heard me say over and over again that Black women are the only group of people who regularly and willingly put their children in physical danger. And I have seen and cited example after example of this. I reacted to a police body cam video a while back of a Black woman who stole a U-Haul truck and then tried to run over the girlfriend of her baby's father. The girlfriend was holding her child. I also reacted to a police cam video of a Black woman in Baltimore who got stopped by the cops, who discovered the bodies of two decomposing children in her trunk. They were her niece and nephew, ages 3 and 5 respectively. Now, where was their mother, you ask? In jail for abusing those 2 children. I reacted to a story about an Atlanta mother who literally cooked her 2 sons in it. She literally cooked her 2 sons in an oven. True story, guys. Cooked her 2 kids in the oven, got it on video, and sent it to their father. Recently, after I reacted to the George Floyd body cam video, I reacted to another body cam video of a scared little boy who had to escape his abusive mother by riding his bike to a neighbor's house to ask for help. Guys, there are countless stories that involve Black mothers, Black women putting their children in danger. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you are probably asking yourselves, okay, Donovan, but those weren't her children. Those were her brothers. That's a different circumstance. And you would be absolutely right. It is a different circumstance, but the fundamental core of what happened is exactly what Tommy Sotomayor has said for decades, which is that the number one threat to Black men in America is the Black woman. And that is from the cradle to the grave. I just told you about all of the cases that I've seen and heard about Black children being put in danger by their own mothers, right? Like we see social media posts of YNs committing crimes for their mothers and then being defended by their mothers when they get arrested. And in this case, now you've got a 23-year-old and a 28-year-old, two men in their early to late 20s who lost their lives trying to defend their sister, a Black woman, who called them to help them only to betray them when they arrived. Now, let's just take it to Noit Roba spelled backwards. Before Black babies are even born, Black women terminate their pregnancies at a far higher rate than other races of women in America. And you know, the funny thing is that Black women are always all over social media, moaning and groaning about why Black men no longer protect Black women. And I think to myself, are you serious with this? If they make it out of the womb, you abuse them as children, You teach them to fight the cops when they're YNs. You lead them into danger as adults, and then you openly celebrate their deaths when they die later in life. Kobe Bryant, Kevin Samuels. Other races of women do not do this, which is why other races of men defend and protect their women. I have absolutely no idea why black women continue to act like they're confused as to why black men no longer come to their defense or step up to protect them. At the end of the day, guys, black women represent the biggest threat to the lives of black men in America. You can either choose to believe it and act accordingly, or you can bury your head in the sand and end up 6 feet deep like the Pierre brothers. But do not say we didn't warn you. Thanks for watching.